I remember the best decision of my life was when I quit university and I bought a ticket to Colombia without having any clients, and I said like, okay, like there is no way around now. So I just either gonna make it or I gonna go back to my parents' house, and I'll be there. And I know that one company, Honey, actually they sold a thing for 4 billion, and every 6 months they would cut down their staff by 20%, no matter if they performed well or not. Why? Because they wanted to raise the standards, always getting rid of the worst people from the team and be hiring new people. So I think that's what we're doing right now as well in the agency and other businesses too, that we have to keep the standard high, because A players don't want to be dealing with B and C players.
Welcome to 360 Scale, a podcast for A-level entrepreneurs looking to scale their business beyond 7 figures. Learn from those that have actually made it in the world of e-commerce with actionable steps you can apply right now.
So guys, welcome to our first episode of 360 Scale podcast. And today we have a special guest here, David. He's like an e-commerce master, Facebook ads master. And hi David, how are you?
I'm doing well. I wouldn't say that I'm a master though, like still learning. Only 3 years in the industry, so a lot to learn.
3 years, but insane results, man.
Insane results, but that's why my back is hurting right now, because it feels, when you are working so intensively for 3 years, like it feels in your body, weighs it down. But I can't complain, like probably this is the only industry that, not the only industry, but this is the only industry that's expanding so much, tech probably and like e-commerce are expanding so much while everyone else is kind of crashing,
Yeah, you mentioned that your back hurts. It's because of Black Week coming, or just like a lot of stuff to do?
A lot of stuff to do. Like, like our results kind of dropped a week ago. Now, actually, they're picking up. So like for 1 week, I was trying to figure out what to do, what not to do, and so on. And then we found out, that there is not much that we can do in terms of the scale. We just need to wait until the kind of buying intent goes up, and we are seeing it like a few days already. Like starting this week, our results started to come back to normal, and we're having like not scale, but at least like we are normalizing the results, which is awesome for the business.
I've read your latest post on Facebook, and you were writing that basically Facebook is like a stock market. You basically can't find like consistency in Facebook. So maybe you can walk us through what is happening with Facebook ads right now, how it's changing.
I don't know, like whether it's changing, as I said, like it's only 1 week that our results went down, but now they're going up. So all is good. What I meant yesterday with the post is that like we as marketers, if we have a product that already has a competition, we are competing against someone else. So that means that we don't have much advantage unless it's like you have a superior agency, or maybe you are working much quicker than anyone else. But if you have like the same kind of product, that means that you're not competing much with anyone else. You don't have like a strategic advantage over anyone else. So the way I started to think is, okay, like I need to really be thinking how to create blue ocean strategies. And blue ocean strategies, like there's a book on it, Blue Ocean Strategies, I think that's how it's called. And it says, like that you, in order not to be competing against anyone else and be the first in the market, you either have to be combine two things that are kind of inexplicable, like that you do two things and you create a whole new category where you're going to find a completely new person, like to buy from you. That means that they would have never bought because there was no product for them. So like an example, it could be that you are selling whatever, you are selling sportswear, and then you identify that there aren't any, I don't know, joggers who are buying these this activewear, so you target specifically to them. Obviously, like there are lots of companies selling them already, in this market, but like just as an example. And that's what we are creating in a beauty space. we already launched one product that is kind of a blue ocean, where we see like we launched the ads, and first days we were starting to see like maybe 7x ROAS with the 2 3K spend, so per day, so like 20K in revenue with 2 3 4K spent per day. So this is what I mean by blue oceans, and this is where the money is made, I believe. Like, this is where brands are, like, big brands are made, not seven-figure brands.
Don't you think that like blue ocean is like you are just narrowing your audience and you basically can't go that broad as like with simple product like simple sportswear?
That was one of the examples. Another, like, I don't want to be telling what we are doing now, because as I said, we launched just one product, so I still don't want competitors to be coming in. And the other one product is the product that we kind of combined two things that women buy separately right now, but we're gonna make it into one, right? And that means that both of the buyers will be able to buy, but they have never had this option to buy. It's like one, like two in one, basically. So that will be a blue ocean, and whoever is gonna come into this kind of ocean, it will be already in our category, especially if we push it hard in the very beginning. And if we do that, then that means that we're going to scale and we're going to be like a household name. At least I hope so. But we are seeing it with one of the products. As I said, like, these kind of ROASs are not very easy to achieve, like, from the very beginning. And we just started 2 weeks, and like this month, I think we are on track to do 1 mil and scaling more, So, like, yeah, there is an opportunity down there. You need to take a step back and not be thinking about Facebook. You need to start thinking about marketing overall, but then beyond marketing, there are blue oceans where you need to be working with product developers and your customers to understand where these blue oceans are. And that's what I'm doing the most lately.
I was talking with one guy and he said to me like, don't you think that like if you have like two products, one is for like older women and one is for younger, and you run ads for both of them, pixel data won't work so good as you are selling like only sportswear for young women.
There is a tool, like there is an app for that, I think, where you can select which pixel you want for like what kind of some kind of a tagging system that I'll be exploring as well, because we're gonna go as well. Since, yeah, how to explain it? Basically, we started with one product shops and we created multiple variations of them, and we created a few products in the same category. But since we are creating like at least 2 or 3 new categories, and I'm not saying that blue oceans, but like another, just a few new categories under the same name, and it's gonna be more geared towards older women. We're gonna experience that, but that's why I'm starting to think, how can we be less dependent on from Facebook and be creating communities and be like investing a lot more into SEO and organic growth in general. That's where as well I'm focusing on. But yes, I've seen lots of brands that they, instead of creating new categories, they just create a new brand so that like they have a well working pixel and so on. But we're not going to do that. We decided to put everything under one brand. With another brand that I'm working with, they decided to separate it out. So I'll see. Both of the approaches could be working.
Yeah, I believe like those guys from Supernova is doing the same. Like basically, they are just duplicating the brands and sharing the pixel.
So yeah, these are one of our competitors, and that's what they are doing. They are geared towards younger demographic, though. Like ours is a bit older, and theirs is a bit influence. Like I would say, they are targeting kind of IG influencers. We are a bit a few years older. And our skincare is a bit more functional, I would say. But yeah, similar approach.
Okay, blue oceans, it's another thing that we need to think about. But when it comes to simple product like skincare, because like you're focusing on that niche, maybe you can tell me like what I need to have, like how I need to develop my product to not only product, like all in all, like business, to be different, to have like outstanding values, to know my target audience, like what I need to do to be different and to succeed in.
Research, like for us with skincare, we do have our product which is superior in the market, and I don't believe that any other product works the way it works, like our works. So that's one of the unique differentiators for us, that our product works, and our lifetime value is really high, so we can be acquiring a lot new customers at a very expensive rate. Like right now, I think we're acquiring customers for 100, 110, 120, just to be keeping up with the growth that we need to grow. But in general, for any brand, just research, like lots of research. Like I'm spending lots of time going through the comments on the Facebook group on under our ads and customer service even now. And actually now I'm creating a consumer research department for the skincare brand, because I realized that the importance of it, and be getting the data quickly from our customers and be showing it, distributing it to all of the channels that we do, like SEO, Facebook, and even product development. So I'm working on it now, just listening to our customers a lot more.
Fun fact, like our best working headline for one of our clients was taken from Facebook comments.
Yeah, same. From the comments, we put it on usually on the first line of the copy, for example, sometimes.
How you outline your target audience when you just starting out with the brand, and how it changes when you like spending like 50K per day, as an example.
Like in the very beginning, you just have a look, what your competitors are doing, and so you find where your customers are, and you start outlining where your avatar is hanging out, and you just try to go into their Facebook, not ads, into their Facebook profiles, and you're looking for them, how do they behave, and so on. Later on, once you have your own customers, you can survey them, and you just create a lot more targets, buyer personas. And then, like for example, now with skincare, we do have four main core demographics or buyer personas. So when we create video ads, for example, we always say that, okay, we are targeting today this person, or today we're going to be creating ads for this person, and you have a kind of a profile of theirs, like that you can always look at and extract the words that they use, and see what pain points do they have, desires, and so on.
You mentioned like pain points, desires, and how you put those things into, like, as an example, video ad. Maybe you have like winning structure of your winning ad, and you can tell us.
Lately, I haven't been doing video ads, or I haven't been super into that. I was focusing on other parts of the business. But sometimes you can lead, with the pain points. Usually, you go with the shocking first seconds, something that would knock your kind of customers out of their heels. So you start doing that, and you go into either pain points or desires. Depends which formula you use. But how is it called? PSA, I think. So problem, solution, action, But you always need to be testing as well, like either it's benefit driven or problem, solution, as I said, and so on. So there are multiple things that you need to be looking at, and there is no kind of way of doing that and knowing for sure what works. What works is always like a good story, So, but to get a good story, you need to know the brand well. You need to get lots of customers to speak with you, and then just try to replicate whatever they were telling, and really have a good eye on the stories that you have.
You mentioned like story, like is it like a video, like story for a video ad, or is like all in all brand story?
So we do lots of storytelling, because our competitors are not doing it, and we saw it as a kind of an opportunity in the market, that our competitors don't do it, and they don't have this emotional connection with our with their brand. We started doing a lot more storytelling. But that's an opportunity that we saw. Most of them are using just benefits in their ads. We just saw it that we need to be using a lot more emotional storytelling. If that answers your question.
Okay, we have like product, we have our target audience, we have story values. How much money do we need to launch like a brand from zero, like product, ads, website, designing, copywriting, etc.?
At the moment, actually, we are creating two brands with our like internal resources, but we are not we are not experts in creating brands from scratch. We are better at when you find a product market fit, because that's like a very difficult part, to understand, and that's the I think the the owner's kind of responsibility to find it, and we are more of a scaling. We know how to scale. We have the processes for scaling instead of trying to find a product market fit, because it's like a completely different skill set and completely different stage of the business that you would need to be into to understand and work in it. Like, I personally haven't launched a brand from the very beginning. I'm now experiencing it when we kind of launch new categories, but we already have advantage because we survey our customers to understand what kind of products do they want and all of that. But I know there are guys who are very smart about it. What they do is they go to the brands that have already their customers. They pay them like whatever, $2,000-$3,000 to do a survey on their customers. So they find out what product do they want, and then they can be launching their own brand. So this is like kind of a smart way of launching brands, because otherwise you are just guessing. And I would rather just be asking our customers what do they want and how do we improve our current products too.
Yeah, like I saw like a lot of businesses that basically just creates a website for 20K. They develop a product like for I don't know like 50K. They create like branding, all that stuff, and they launch it. And basically, they need like I don't know like 2 years to make it work, and they are depressed about it and all that. So yeah, my thinking about launching a brand is basically to spend very little amount of money at the first start to get like a first data, to read that data, to read like who's your target audience, all that, and then you can develop a product. You can create a good website, like professional videos, etc.
That's minimum viable test for this business. This is like a very important skill to learn, actually, is to be thinking, how can I create a minimum viable test about what I'm doing. That's what helped me to scale these brands a lot, because if I was making everything perfect, I would have never gotten there. Because, for example, I work right now with some people who are perfectionists, and like, we hire them because they are far more experienced and they are amazing managers. I'm not an amazing manager. I'm good at scaling, but I'm not the best person to manage people and processes. So what happened is that these people want to make everything perfect, and they want to know every single detail, what is going to happen, when you do that. Whilst me, I just do it, I break things, but at the same time, like, I learn from it, and then I know like, I don't speculate what the future will be, but I go into the future and I see, okay, this is actually the problem that we have. We need to solve it now. Instead of like, oh, let's hire more people now so that when we get there, we won't have any problems. Now, it's not the way to grow this business, especially if you want to grow it fast. If you want to be slow, like on a slow lane, then you can do that, but I don't think you'll survive as well in the long term here. Because the reason why we are doing still well, even though the CPMs are super high, is because we were scaling the hell out of these businesses for the last 2-3 years. Because now the customer base is so big that we can stop our ads, and our emails, SMS, and organic traffic will keep us afloat for another year or so. Whilst other businesses that were not thinking like this, and that were not scaling aggressively, I think they are like at a disadvantage right now, because right now you cannot be acquiring customers at a very fast rate with like good enough ROAS that you're shooting for.
You mentioned like that customer base, etc. But like, what do you think about localization? Maybe it's like a good way to create those like not one base like worldwide, but like a lot of mini bases in different countries, and run some ads in those countries to make those bases like bigger and bigger, and then you can turn off your ads. What do you think about this like strategy?
Well, it depends where you're at, like if you start a business in the US and then you want to move to Europe, it's very hard because of the taxes and all of the logistics and so on. Basically, import taxes are killing it. So it's super difficult to do that. If you are in Europe, there is no, like, I would not do it in any other way, just localizing the stores, because Europe has so many languages and you need to localize it. And if you do that, well, Europe is a market, like even I think we calculated that Germany, France, and Italy can bring you 100 million, in revenue, in yearly revenue alone. Plus add, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark, Netherlands, maybe these smaller countries that can each contribute by 10, 15 million. So you can have like a very, very solid business in Europe with probably 200 mil in revenue, depending on the product and the niche and so on. But I have a client in activewear in Europe, and it's for sure doable to reach 200 mil with all of the products that they have. And yeah, in European market,
There's even products in the market that like works in Europe but like doesn't work in the USA. As you mentioned, like activewear, we have tested like activewear brand in USA. Basically, we were spending money the zero ROI, and we were losing a lot of money. But once we came to Europe, we had like way better results.
models could be the first thing. Like what I found, with European, especially if you're from Europe, you think that your models are looking like Americans, but they don't. They look like foreigners, like it's a completely different look that you're looking for. Plus in the US you have Lululemon, for example, which is like has the most of the market, I would say. I don't know any other ones, but for sure, it's like a completely different marketing that you need for Americans too. It's very different mindset and very different behaviors and so on. So you just, like, every market is different. Us Lithuanians, we grew up in one kind of environment. But when I go to US and now I have to do it frequently, plus my girlfriend is from the US, like I get to know their market a lot better. But I realized that I really need to live in the US for a few years and like to understand how do they behave, where do they go to eat, where like just in general their behavior and their thinking, because you not only have to be looking at the Facebook ads, what they have now, but you also have to look at the history of the person. Where did he or she come from? And that's super important. I don't think that lots of people are going that deep into. Lots of marketers are going that deep into their psychographics of the customers, and I do. I've smoked weed yesterday in the evening, and for 3 hours I was looking at my customer and asking, what does she think when she sees my website? What does she think when she looks at my ads? Like, does it sound authentic? Like, where does she get stuck, and so on? So it helps, like just trying to understand your customer so well that you could kind of match your personalities together, and then you see the world through their eyes, and then you understand what's happening in their minds. And that's what I found, that with European brands, which are trying to go to the US, they don't put that much effort into that. And it's okay, because you have the whole Europe, that is under your feet.
A lot of guys in the market know that they need a research. They're doing research, but like they are not succeeding. So maybe you can outline some examples what you are coming at once you are doing like that research.
It's complicated. It's not a simple process. For example, like you can do basic demographic research and basic psychographic research, like just looking at the comments, looking at what do they talk about your product. But you need to, like, in order to be like the best copywriter, or not the best copywriter, the best marketer, you need to go a level above that. And the level above that is read what they read. So for example, yesterday I was reading I didn't read the book, but I looked at what are the best selling books in the US market. And like, I was looking for something for a woman, right? And I'm looking at the what kind of books are attracting them, and it's like, wow, like, it's a lot of books about ghosts and crime stories, which is like surprising for me, and I don't understand why, And I read a few books before that, and for me they were interesting, but I didn't find them so good, But it seems that my target demographic is doing that, and they are reading these books. So I'm always trying to read what they read, plus podcasts, like listening to their podcasts. And now, for example, what I'm doing is I ask my assistant to listen to every podcast and every marketing article that the CEOs of the companies that are my competitors release. Because like now, right on the podcast, I'm sharing some of the stuff that could be useful for my competitor, and so do they. So I asked my assistant to listen to all of them and put them into some kind of notes, so that I know, what they did, what decision did they make at this point, and so on. So it's a lot. Like, I spent lots of time thinking about my customer. I would say like 12 hours per day. I started now even putting skincare every day, every morning, every evening, and I'm trying to see, how it smells, how it feels, and how my skin feels after it, and all of that. So you need to be a consumer yourself, consumer not only of your product, but consumer of the information that your customers are getting. That's where I think the kind of the idea starts to flow, and that's where the understanding between your customers happens. And plus, now since we're developing consumer research department, we're going to be calling our customers on weekly basis, and we're going to be surveying them, and hiring a person who will be systemizing all of these processes, and will be distributing all of the all of the material that we get, or all of the insights that we get, into each department, so that it's actionable too.
Once you have those micro angles to test, you mentioned like books, films, etc. How you know that it works? Because like with Facebook ads, you can test with CBO. How you make sure that your angle, like micro angle, is tested like 100%?
You test it again, like we do testing once, because sometimes it's just a matter of time, that the timing could have been wrong for that ad, So you can always retest it, like in a month or two, to see, especially for the ones that you feel that they should have performed, because they are good ads, and we did lots of research on them, and took lots of time to prepare for them. So we just retest them, to make sure that we don't miss the opportunity to be marketing them with good ads of ours.
Okay, and also you mentioned the look of the model that you are using in your ads. So maybe you have tested like two different models, one maybe even in one ad, or two ads, like one with like European, one with USA model. And,
Not like European or USA model, but we have tested like, black, white, Asian, whatever, and like, or let's say normal looking one, and like an extremely good looking one, like a model, and then like all of these variations we are testing out. And it's hard to say what works. Like one day this one can work, not one day, but like sometimes the variables are so small that we don't spot any pattern. So the way we approach it is that we just want to test as much as possible. Obviously, when we see that this ad starts scaling, then we say, okay, like we need to focus on doing more of this. Like, for example, if we have a model that like looked very young and whatever, and she worked really well, then we say, okay, we need more models like this in a similar kind of a pose, and we test them out as well. It sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. So it's difficult to say. There are so many variables that are going on down there. to measure it like very specifically.
What is the biggest like needle mover when it comes to tests? As an example, you change like model and your ad is performing better than without that model. So maybe you have even like those things that you can implement in your video ad and it can work. Like what micro angle is the most important for the video ad? As
First 3 seconds, that's it. Like we test that first. Like not only video ads, like the first of all is the story or the big idea. What I find that marketers, what they are doing is they are not only marketers but video editors, etc. Whoever is like your creative that gives you the creative direction, is that they focus on very small things, and this is what. Like in my team as well, we sometimes have conversations that like you just take very similar approach to what we did and you just change a mini detail and you think that this is going to work. No, like what I want them to test is the big idea, and the big idea could be a story, like a very completely different kind of story. And I see, for example, that I do research that right now that women with like 2 women in the ad are working amazingly well. So this is like not a big idea, but if you add a story down there, plus you increase it one notch up, and say that's like how can this story be extraordinary, or this ad can be extraordinary. You put that layer on top of it, and that's where the big idea comes, and that's when you test like you test it properly. And that's what I think is the biggest needle mover, because all of the businesses that we scaled, the idea was very simple. Sorry, not very simple, but there was one idea in there. That was the main thing, that we focused only on one thing. And then the idea was very different. And it was not only the text overlay or anything like that, but it was either a script that we gave to the model or to the actor or to the UGC, like for our customers, or something else. But yeah, it these ads kind of scaled us a lot, and that's one idea and one belief as well. What like this is what I've learned recently, and like I keep asking myself whenever I write copy myself or the video editor is editing, I ask them, what's the one belief that your customers have to believe about you to make them purchase? So, and it has to be only one. You cannot be doing like 3 or 4. And lots of ads are like this, like benefit, 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 and like it confuses people. It seems that one belief is the way to
like
go.
a few months ago, you said like that you were testing like those 15 seconds ads. Maybe you can share results.
We didn't see something extraordinary from there. It's just like this is what we call like a format testing, so it's not a big idea. I would say it's more of a small tweak that you want to do, and we didn't see like whether it was working good or not since we came into September, and September was a month where we didn't scale. We just kept the performance the same. So we didn't see a big scale, but maybe there are some ads. But since I'm not doing media buying myself, I wouldn't know the answer. There are my media buyers who do that a lot more on daily basis.
Really impressive thing that you made Ernest like expert in Facebook in very very short period of time. And now, how much he's spending right now on Facebook?
I would say around 100K per day right now. But there was a time when we spent around 200 plus per day, which was amazing.
And you said you are not a good manager of people. Maybe you can walk us through like what points you are looking at when hiring most important person in your team, and how you develop that person to be like a level guy in this market.
You hire for the character, I would say, rather than technical knowledge, because technical knowledge, like I can teach anyone, to be honest. Like in 1 month I could teach them to be spending this amount of money, like if it's only media buying. If it's only media buying, it's easy. I would not say that it's extremely extremely difficult to do. What I remember, what I did with him is that I allowed him to make lots of mistakes, and I actually asked him to make lots of mistakes from the very beginning. I said, the more mistakes you're gonna make, the better it's gonna be for the business, because you're gonna make mistakes in, like, you can be making mistakes for either for 6 months, or you can make all of these mistakes this month, and I'm gonna teach you how to not make them. So this is how we approached it from the very beginning. So he enjoyed it, this process. I believe I enjoyed it as well. It was stressful in the very beginning, obviously, but it seems to work, as he taught another guy now, and he is even better, I think, than Arnas from the not media buying perspective, but even from the whole marketing perspective. And that depend like, and it was Arnas' friend as well. So what we are looking now, every time that we hire someone from the close circle, because we already know that they'll be a good character fit, and then we look for the traits. When once we hire, like, for 2-3 weeks, we already see whether they have a potential to be an A player or not. And if they don't, we just get rid of them and hire someone else until we find the traits that are that they are exhibiting of being an A player. Because that's the thing, you don't want to be dealing with B or C players in your team, because you want to show that your team has to be performing at A level, and the more B players, even B players, if you have them, they lower down your standards. And I know that one company, Honey, actually, they sold a thing for 4 billion, and every 6 months they would cut down their staff by 20%. No matter if they performed well or not, the company itself, they would have a rule that's either 10 or 20%, I don't remember, that they get rid of 20% of the people. Why? Because they wanted to raise the standards, so always getting rid of the worst people from the team and be hiring new people. So I think that's what we're doing right now as well in the agency and other businesses too, that we have to keep the standard high, because A players don't want to be dealing with B and C players. And yeah, like, from the media buying perspective, allow them, to make as many mistakes as possible. Just ask them to be making them as fast as possible, and not be repeating the same mistakes again. That's it. If they if they are afraid of mistakes, this is not your media buyer that you're looking for, especially when you hire, like, for the junior roles, and even higher positions too.
What do you think, like, where, like, A level guy needs to be, like, good at when it comes to not, like, only media buying, but, like, overall e-commerce?
I don't know. Like, for me, like, what I find as well is that, because everyone is focusing so much on Facebook ads or just ads in general, but they don't see the whole picture. They don't see how do they affect their customer, what do their customers think about them, and just don't not having principles of marketing. And the best guy to learn principles of marketing for me is Seth Godin. So I'm, like, kind of listening to him all the time, reading his books and so on. And I realized that this is the next step, above the Facebook ads or direct response marketing. Because myself, I was, like, for 2 or 3 years, I was heavily learning direct response marketing. But now I start to see that, okay, like, if I want to kind of develop a brand that does not depend on a viral ad or very well performing offer for a short period of time, and I want to have, like, a long term business, I need to be switching my focus from direct response to brand marketing. And that's where my mind is at this moment. And yeah, just you need to observe, so, like, you need to be like a sponge. I don't know, like, every week I'm listening to a course, I listen to multiple podcasts, reading lots of books. Tomorrow, for example, is the day where I'm gonna be reading at least 2 or 3 books. Like, from very early morning, I'm gonna wake up, gonna do yoga, and gonna be reading the books. Why? Because I need ideas. Like, you constantly need ideas, and maybe you won't be able to connect them at some, like, tomorrow. Maybe I'll get lots of ideas, but I'll not be able to implement them. But maybe then I'm gonna hire a consultant. And actually, I'm looking for a Reddit consultant right now to help me out to set up subreddit and to create some kind of a buzz for PR. Like, maybe then I'm gonna connect this idea, like, oh shit, I read it in this book and this guy told me that, but this is the way for me to go. So it's just like a marketer has to be super curious about everything related to psychology. I don't know, I read lots of spiritual books, I read lots of books on history too, and like lots of random stuff that it's like even quantum mechanics and quantum physics and all of these things, and sometimes like they just connect and like oh wow, how did they connect, and then you start growing the business with these ideas, and that's what you need, like ideas, big ideas. This is what marketers are for. And if you are not able to come up with these ideas that can change the course of the business, then you're just a media buyer, like a cog in the machine, like someone who can be pressing the button because someone told them. Because media buying is just amplifying the message, but what you need to be good at creating that message and making sure that all of the channels are connecting into that one message, and that's a difficult part. I would say like this is where I'm at now, and I'm struggling a bit, but I'm pretty sure that within a few months I'll have a system how to be managing all of these new channels with so many new people, but maintaining the core message of the brand and creating the communities around the brand and all of that.
You're telling me like you need ideas, you read this and that you are hurting your back. So maybe now you can tell me how you refresh after like, 1,000 of different ideas in your head.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I'm pushing a bit, maybe myself a bit too much. Before I used to be more of a like I would work for 3-4 hours, but for the rest of the day I would be walking and listening to books and so on. So now what I'm trying to do is maybe that's why everything hurts, because I go to my masseuse every week to make massage, and yes, like 2 days ago she said that you're tense like everywhere, like you could feel it on your head, on your neck, on your lower back, everywhere, and I feel it too. But yeah, so now it's a bit difficult because I'm producing a lot, meaning that I create lots of things, but at the same time, I'm trying to learn a lot of things. So maybe that's what causes stress for me. And there were a few things, that were not working on the website, so that caused me lots of stress. But the way I do it, is I try to take a day off on Saturdays. So like either I read or just walk in the city center, go to a coffee shop, read some books, whatever. Then I have massage, and then I'm gonna go to CrossFit like in 2 hours, yoga, and like I do psychedelics, mushrooms, or weed, whatever. Since I'm living in Mexico, like the law will not punish me down here. But yeah, like lots of things. At this moment, I'm not the best at it. I would not tell you the truth if saying that I'm really good at it. Like I'm struggling to distinguish work and leisure time. The only way I can do it right now is with sports. But in 2 weeks, I'm gonna go to the desert in the north of Mexico for 7 days. I'm gonna be hiking with shamans, and like without phones and anything like that. So that will be my kind of a leisure time. Sometimes we go to the beach in here in Mexico. So yeah, it depends. But as I said, I'm not the best at it.
Is it hard to leave business?
In the past 3 years, I've only left business for 4 days, I think max. That's it. Like after 4 days I would come back. So I really need like holidays for 2 weeks to recharge completely, but it's very hard to leave it. Actually, that was the reason why I hired Harnas, because I was enjoying what I was doing and I loved it, but I realized that okay, like if I'm gonna continue and if I'm not gonna hire anyone to do that for me, that means that I'll be stuck here like for years probably until I have my holiday. So I decided to hire. And yesterday, when I had my weed session, I realized that there were some beliefs that were holding me back, and these beliefs were that I'm a very good executor, so I can be doing lots of things on my own. They were holding me back because I usually would need to learn to do the thing. So I would need to listen to a few books to learn it, and then would actually execute myself for a week, and then would have the thing to do. But right now I said like, okay, I'm just going to be super good at creating tasks, like very like I'll be very clear what I need to achieve from each one of the tasks, and I'm just gonna be hiring either freelancers on project basis, just to help me out, with all of these small projects that are taking a lot of mental space of mine, so that I can be focusing only on making these big decisions that will make a very big move in my business. And I don't know where did I hear it yesterday, but something changed yesterday that I heard one CEO saying that, who was this CEO of Zapier, Zappos maybe, that he said that the CEO's job is to be making the right decisions, not the right decisions, but to choose which decisions he'll be making. So instead of like making all of the decisions in the business, he needs to choose, a few decisions that he'll be making. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Okay, what are the decisions that will be the most important ones that will move the needle the most? And these are the decisions that I have to be making. I don't have to be making the decision what ads it will perform. It's a small decision to make. Too small of a decision to make to occupy my head. My decisions should be, who do I hire in the position where it needs to be, so that I don't have to be making this decision. And that's a mental shift that I'm going through right now as well.
I believe like now, especially like these days, you have a lot of ideas in your head because like Black Week is coming. So maybe you can share some ideas that's in your head about Black Week. Like maybe you already have like offers that you will be running.
Yeah, so offers I cannot disclose because I bet that my competitors could be listening to this podcast. But like what we do in general, and I shared it all over the place, is that we pre-buy the media right now. So although like the accounts are not performing, we're still spending quite a bit of money so that we get lots of retargeting audiences that will be going that will be retargeting with emails and SMS and all of that, like maybe Facebook group as well. And yeah, we're gonna do Facebook lives, basically collecting as many touch points as possible. Right now you mentioned about Facebook group, not Facebook group, Facebook event. That's what we're gonna be doing as well, creating a Facebook event and all of these things. But the most important will be the offer, I guess. And like this is the really good thing that we came up, and I really don't want to disclose it. What other information can I share? Yeah, there is not much. Like we have it pretty much formulaic. Pre-buy the media right now, have all of the emails set up, or have all of the SMS set up, and just be going with it for a bit longer than, like, we don't do only Black Friday, we do Black Week. So instead of Black Friday, we're just gonna do Black Week. We're gonna do some extended sales as well, Black Week extended on Saturday, Sunday, Cyber Monday, and so on. We're gonna have product launches on the same days too, so it's gonna create a lot more buzz too. So yeah, this is the information.
You said that you are spending money even on those accounts that like aren't working so great, and maybe from like latest Black Weeks, you can share like experience. Can you turn on performance for those accounts that like aren't performing so well, like in casual days in Black Week?
In November in general, I don't think you'll be acquiring new customers. That's the thing. Like that's why we are pre-buying the media right now. And this year is a bit strange. Last year, for example, we were pre-buying media in October, and it was working amazingly well. I mean, we were scaling, because our ROAS requirements were lower. But right now, like even though the requirements are lower, it's still, we are not achieving the same scale. So what we do in November, is we just we just advertise to the customers that we already have, or in our retargeting channel. We don't do any customer acquisition because the CPMs will just go through the roof, even because even now they are so high, it's gonna go higher in November. So that's why we just pre-buy all of the media, even though it doesn't perform that much better right now.
What's the ROI and this period that you are?
That depends on the business. Like each business, has a different cash flow. So I don't know. Some businesses ask us for, let's say, 3x ROI. Some ask us for 2.5x ROI. Some I know that could even ask for 2.2x ROI. So that really depends on the cash flows of the businesses. We usually prepare for it by having a very profitable month in September to get lots of cash flow, like to have lots of cash in hand so that we can pre-buy all of the inventory if we need to, ingredients, whatever. And then we kind of are secure that we have this much cash, and we have projections what we're gonna be probably doing like in that 1 week. So we know we make these projections what we'll be able to recoup from that money, and with how much profit are we going to be ending up our year.
How much of your yearly revenue you're making in Black Week?
Like Black Week itself, I don't remember, but in Q4, usually the rule is that what you earn up until September, 45% of that will come in the Q4. So let's say that you made 10 million up until the end of September. You're gonna have 4.5 million in October, November, and December, or 50% of that. So, and then you need to calculate. For each business is a bit different. I don't remember exactly, but I think in Black Week we do around 12 million. 12% of the entire year, entire year's revenue, or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but I think we made these calculations.
Okay, yeah, now I have like few general questions, like quick questions, and I need like quick answers. What was like the best idea that like made the most impact in your life?
I would not remember one idea right now, but I remember the best decision of my life was when I quit university and I bought a ticket to Colombia without having any clients, and we just share determination that I'm gonna figure it out somehow, like because I wanted to be a digital nomad so much, that I just bought a ticket, and I had maybe enough money for 4 to 6 months, maybe 6 months, I would say. And I said like, okay, like there is no way around now. So I just either gonna make it or I gonna go back to my parents' house, and I'll be there, which is not the best, not the worst, scenario that one could expect. But I remember by the time that I was going on a plane to Colombia, I already was making like 1.5K, which was like significant money for me because I was earning, and I was working only 1 or 2 hours per day, not much. And it was significant money for me because before that I was working at the language school, in which I was working maybe for 60 hours per week. I was earning maybe 2.5K. And that was just before the going to Colombia, because I needed to make money to survive down there. And before that, I was working as a barista, right, at the coffee shop, and I was making, I don't know, £8 per hour. No, not pounds. 8 maybe euros per hour max. So I would make 50 euros per day or so, working the whole day down there, like working shitty job. And yeah, so when that was the best decision and probably the best idea. And I don't know who I heard it from, like that story about burning the ships, behind when Cortez, I think, Captain Cortez came to Mexico from Spain. He ordered like his crew to burn the ship so that they don't have any other option, just win against Mexicans, whatever the fight they were going into. So I took it to the heart, and I just bought a ticket to Colombia, and that's where it all started.
Okay, another question, like you lost like all your money, but you have your current knowledge, and what you do next, and what is the easiest way to earn like 100K in upcoming 1 year?
The easiest, I don't know. Like I actually went through this situation last week when I was super stressed out, and I know that one of the ways, to relieve the stress for me is to just go through the worst case scenario. So when I work, I didn't say that I'm gonna lose all of my money that I already have, but I said that okay, I lose all of the clients, all of the businesses that we have, and I'm not getting any income. So I started writing down what I would do, and I wrote down a scenario which was awesome, which was I would move to the coast of Mexico. I would go to Cipolite. It's a hippie community basically, and I would stay there for a year or two, and I would be doing what I love doing, which is writing. So I would be trying to do that. If I really wanted to make this 100K cash, I would be doing the same thing what I was doing. If it's cash that you're looking for, I would be doing the same what I was doing with the agency in the very beginning. I was creating lots of content for the agency, and I was taking on so many clients. That's like, I remember I was working for 12 hours per day, but I was learning so much at that time. So that was a really good point for me as well, to be learning and working so many hours per day. And I think I had at that time alone 7 clients at the same time. So yeah, but with my current knowledge, I don't know, with my current knowledge, I would take things slower, and I would be trying to create blue oceans rather than just jumping on and trying to get cash as much as possible. Because cash, like, I experienced it myself. With cash, you'll not become rich. Even though my personal income is like extremely high. Like I never thought that I would make this kind of money, but I realized that cash will not make you rich. Like if I stopped working right now, yes, I could survive maybe for 5, 6, maybe 7 years without doing much, but it would not make me rich. I would not be able to buy a house. I would not be able to buy a supercar or whatever, if I wanted to do these things, like I would rather choose one product, or like some kind of a niche where I could build stuff and sell it. Because when you sell, that's where the wealth comes from. It's not coming from the agency model. Like for us, we got lucky because with the agency model, we combined it with the equity model. So we're acquiring the equities from the businesses. So we can be creating wealth with it. But if you are not acquiring equities from the businesses, then you might need to reconsider your model or try to sell the agency, which is a bit more difficult than selling an e-commerce business.
Great answer. Another question. One product that made the most revenue in your career?
Lashes, magnetic lashes, for sure. It's made like my clients millionaire. Like my clients, not a multi-millionaire, but he bought a house I saw in California, and he's just a millionaire now. But yeah, lashes, we work with them for 2 years already, and it's just insane journey that we grew from 0 to mid 8 figures in such a short period of time. And the amount of people that are working right now, and a number of people that are working right now, and just the industry, they created the blue ocean strategy. Like it was a blue ocean back then. Now it's not, but we're going towards somewhere else too with them.
What was the most expensive mistake you made?
After COVID, since we got so much cash, I started to be risking a bit more. But I was able to afford it, so that's, I don't know, like I made some bets. I ordered some ads for 60,000. Now I bought a data platform for 25,000. So these are mistakes. Well, these are not mistakes. I haven't tested, like the data platform works actually well. Next week we're gonna have it fully integrated. But the ad, I think I made a mistake because I didn't go fully into the script and all of that, and I could have spotted that it looks too much like an ad. We ordered this one of the like Harmon brother style video, but it doesn't seem that it's gonna be performing. We haven't tested it. But yeah, I paid 60K, so like it's kind of a mistake. I took a risk, but I maybe made 200K, so I was able to make these small, like not small, like when you compare 200K and 60K, it's fine, like you can make these small mistakes to see whether you can scale the business a bit further. But now I could have used this 60K to build a whole studio, for our video team, for example. So it's kind of like bad choices that I made because we had lots of cash. And now I understand as well the corporations, how do they, and how people working in the corporations are not thinking smart because they have money, they don't have any risks. They know that, okay, we have 2 million budget, to spend, so let's spend it, like 200K on this ad, maybe 500 on this ad, and so on. And it's fine for them because it's like they have 2 million budget, and the same thing happened for me. But if you asked me 2 years ago to spend 60K on one ad, and I would say like, you're fucking dumb, but now I was able to afford it. So that was probably my biggest mistake, but it may go viral still, so I'm not too sure.
What percent of football teams' success creates coach, and what percent of business success creates e-com strategist?
Depends on the team. I think like it's super important. Coach is like super important. Like the talent is important, but if the talent doesn't know how to work cohesively, it's like not gonna be a working machine. And it's the same, with the ecom strategy. Like with ecom strategy, like I'm not the best manager, as I said, so like I have lots of talent to work with and I'm trying to get the most out of them, but I kind of still rely on them to be creating the solutions rather than on me leading them. So it's a big part of it. Like maybe in business it's a bit like there is a lot more responsibility coming onto the leader rather than on the football team, because football team can sometimes win. Like it's more of a random, I would say. Like sometimes it can be random that they win, not over long term but over short term. It could be random, talent could get them there. But if, for example, a business, like in my position, like if a strategist doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, and he's focusing on wrong things, and maybe doesn't allow the creative team to be creating the ads the way they think that they should be done, you're gonna screw up the business. So it's actually far more important in the business than in football, I would say.
I believe that's it for today. Maybe you can give like the book that made like the most effort for you when it comes to digital marketing for listeners.
I would say like extreme ownership. It was not digital marketing, but it was more of a mindset that the strategist has to take care of, like has to take ownership of everything that happens into their business, and it doesn't matter that like whatever, the create like either a create like a video creator messed something up, it's still up to the leader, to be spotting these mistakes or have a system to be spotting these mistakes. So that's where I remember there was a mental shift for me that I wasn't taking responsibility. I would say like, hey, you did it, like even though it was my team, I would still blame someone like, oh, you did it, So I understood that you, like as a leader, I have to take responsibility for everything that happens in the business, and that's when the mentality shifted. Like from digital marketing perspective, actually, before I was kind of skeptical about Russell Brunson and his books. Like I would see like, there is so much fluff, like his branding, his marketing, and so on. But now when I think of it, like it was actually really good books. These were really good books, to understand the story, how to be conveying the stories and so on. Although they were made more for a funnel perspective, not from the funnel perspective, not from the e-commerce perspective, but still there are lots of golden nuggets down there, and you only realize that only maybe after like after I realized it only now, which happened after 3 years after I read it for the first time. So yeah, and Eugene Schwartz maybe as well. Lots of great books. But
Okay, yeah, it was like very nice to talk with you. Thanks for your time, because I believe that's time is like expensive.
thanks a lot for having me here, and I hope someone learned something from it, from my experience and insights that I haven't. I think that's what is super valuable in this space, that you can get insights from people on these random podcasts all over the place. And I really encourage you to be listening to them and from multiple sources. Don't be hooked. Don't get hooked to me or one person, but just be trying to be looking for the information from all over the place. to see what you can apply for your business and what could not be applied for your business. So yeah, thanks a lot.